Welcome to the Wagas Innovation Talks. This podcast offers you an insight into recent innovations in the tech business, driven by research and industry insight. We are talking to researchers and professionals to share their expertise, experience, and projects with us. As a think tank and accelerator, we support tech startups and corporations in growing their business. We believe innovation is key to growth and hope to shine light on academic research and experts with real-life industry experience. To learn more, visit wagas-group.com and find all our podcast episodes plus articles and resources to expand your horizon on tech innovations. My name is Livia van Herde, Marketing and Sales Manager at Wagas, and today we had the honor to welcome Michal Cooper to the podcast. After graduating from the Hebrew University in International Relations and Asian Studies, Michal was awarded the Chinese CSC Scholarship to study Chinese language, business and culture. She has held positions in marketing and investor relations at organizations such as the Israel-Asia Chamber of Commerce. Today, Michal is the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Untitled Imaging, where she is contributing to advancing emerging technologies in new market segments. On top of that, she's continuing her education and is enrolled at IDC Herzliya for her MBA in AI and Big Data. Welcome to the podcast, Michal.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Today's episode is about CMOS image sensor chips and related technology. You're the Director of Strategic Partnership at Untitled Imaging. And first of all, I want to get the broad context of today's topic. When people get a phone or a car, they don't realize the technology that is used inside. The company that you work for provides cutting-edge technology that is embedded into products that we end up buying in supermarkets. Can you explain how the technology works and where it is used?
Sure. Well, first of all, Untitled Imaging is a CMOS image sensor maker. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a chip, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, sometimes we don't understand the hardware that really builds the solution, the end solutions as we consumers use. But Untitled is not only the component maker. She's also in some applications and markets, she's also doing the solutions. So basically, that's how we position ourselves as technology expert company startup from Israel that also can provide full solutions to many markets. And we actually focus on two main domains. One is machine vision, everything regarding to 3D imaging. Imagine the alerts you're getting in during your driving the car, right? If you have kind of alerts that you are stepping out of the road, or you have cameras trying to help you to drive safely, or for example in the smartphone, the cameras you have, some phones today are open with face recognition, or the iRobot we have at home, or the warehouses, we know that there are robots already carrying things around. So it can be everything related to this vision, right? Helping machines and understand the surroundings. And we do it in a way that allows lower prices and very without compromising on the high quality. So we can really put this in large scale. So this is one domain. And the other domain is the spectral imaging. So imagine that every human has its own footprint, right? So the same materials in our world, every material has its own signature made of light. Right. This is called by professional and language a spectral signature. And this basically is a known technology called spectroscopy, and it exists in all the laboratories today, that they just use these large machines to identify what kind of materials and substances they have in a specific thing. And we took this technology and put it on one small piece of silicon on a chip, so we can help many applications to use these diagnostic abilities in a much larger scale, to make it more portable, to make this more affordable, and enable this to the mass market. So these are the main domains, and the applications are very cool. Actually, think about water contamination or knowing what is happening and the quality of the water, what is the quality of their food, and even healthcare. Everything regarding COVID. We took this to the medical level, and we also identify viruses.
Right. That's actually something I want to talk about later on. But first of all, let's talk about the near-term future. What is the next leap that the technology will enable, and how will it change our daily lives? What do you say?
Well, first of all, when you create better performance, for example, the problem today that you have amazing technologies out there in the offices of the engineers in the large companies and many startups. And there is a big way from developing it in your lab, in your company, to put it on the market so me and you as consumers can use. For example, one of the main, I think, examples for it is autonomous driving. For example, we still see there is a long way until we see it on the road, but there are amazing technologies for it. And the key is basically having this needed performance to put it on the market, but still have it in a reliable and realistic price. So we'll allow it to be in every car. And this is why one of our advantages, that we see ourselves as the key component to make this happen. So it can be for any applications regarding that. And in the medical sphere, it's even larger revolution because we have created something that can be, especially after the pandemic, we see more and more that this is really needed, the remote healthcare, right? So imagine you can have a device that can be at home and can be anywhere and can tell you your status of health, or can give you alerts on things that happening into your water supply or into your own body. So this can really bring a new future.
Yeah, that is amazing. Well, we've been talking about COVID-19 on the podcast and the impacts of the pandemic with previous podcast guests. And they've shown us that quick and valuable innovations came from these times. You mentioned you developed a COVID at-home diagnostic kit at NewSite with the NewSite team. What are the main obstacles for a global scale deployment of these at-home tests? Can governments and authorities support them? Why don't we have one at home?
Well, actually, I want to start first explaining maybe in a sentence the solution. So basically, we created a spectral chip, right? And we built some kind of device, which is very small. It's the side of the palm of our hands, and it can give you an immediate, in just a few seconds, it can give you a result, even less than 1 second, right? The software can give you a result if you're infected or not. And what we have built is basically also a software an app that can be installed over your phone and monitor your status of health. So all of this led to establishing a new joint venture by NewSite. So we did this experiment with at first when just the pandemic started, and we had this amazing breakthrough. So we teamed up with the Sheba Medical Center, which is a top 10 hospital in the world. It's actually number 9 and the largest hospital in the Middle East. And we formed a new company called VirusSite Diagnostics. So NewSite is the main shareholder, and it's based on our technology, but we understood we need a clinical and a medical aspect to provide solution to the consumers, to the public, right? So this company is actually building the full solution, the app, everything, and we are now having 35 pilots around the world waiting for regulation improvement. And once we have regulation, we really want to put it everywhere, and eventually in the future also in the homes of people. So the main obstacle, I think, is the regulation. Now we're facing. We actually submitted the regulation approvals, and now we're waiting to receive them. And also, since our solution works on our spectral chip and with artificial intelligence, of course we need big data. So we are collecting more and more data. Again, not personal data about anyone. The data we receive is just numbers. Spectral signatures is just metrics of numbers, and so we don't have personal information about anyone.
Right.
And this helps us to create the accuracy needed to install a device with the right software at every home. So of course we will start when the regulation approval will be received. We will start with airports and a larger scale mass screening, to release the economy pressure. we see now and really resume to normal life. But in the future, we really believe this is something that needs to, every one of us needs to have this at home as well.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
something we're really aiming to. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, another advantage that now it's actually more crucial than ever that we have is the supporting mutations. So we see every day now we have a new mutation coming, and it's quite scary. Is the vaccine helping? Or is the test accurate enough? So always we have those topics running in our hands and the governments, So it's a real dramatic issue right now. And this is one of the main, I think, remarkable things about our solution is that imagine you have this device, the spectral lit, you have it, this is the spectral,
Yeah.
we call it the spectral lit. So you have it installed in some place or in your house, and then you have a new mutation. So
Yeah.
we do some kind of training of the model, and just with a simple update of the software, the device, the same device you had at home, can now support a new mutation. So
Incredible.
this is just a new beginning of an area of digital healthcare. So, and I think we are on the top of this innovation wave to really release society and resume to normal life, as even with mutations happening and with new viruses happening. Because I think the world now, if we're talking about governments and authorities, I think that the world now understands the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us a great lesson, right? We cannot let it happen again with a new emerging virus, right? So we will be more ready.
Yeah.
So we know that governments and authorities and everyone want to create some kind of ecosystem to be able to respond faster. And this definitely tests and mass screening is one of their key things. And we have a lot of demand now from governments, companies, mass population, and
Yeah.
we hope to release the pressure and give a solution soon.
Right. Yeah. So let's stay in that very interesting topic of COVID-19 and innovations relating to it. In France, they go to the sewage every day to test waters on COVID-19 nationwide. And do you think your technology can detect COVID in water? And wouldn't this be more cost efficient, for example, than the current tests in France?
Well, this is an interesting topic. We were thinking about this. First, we need to understand the principle of our technology. We are not identifying the virus itself. We are identifying the reaction of the body to the virus. So basically, imagine that you have, we're taking samples of people who are sick, a spectral signature, right? As I explained, an ID, let's say, of the reaction of the body, and once of a healthy patient and a sick patient. And once we have many samples, as in big data and artificial intelligence, using machine learning, you can really create a classification and understand how looks a person who is ill. And we really get to amazing percentages of accuracy and sensitivity and specificity. But in terms of water, if you want to try to detect things in sewage and water, we were thinking about that, but from a different aspect, because we do have projects going on for the water, the sewage and the water facilities. We're actually working with Mekorot, which is Israel's national water company, regarding a solution for water quality in general, right? From the utilities to the consumer level. So they want to understand what is really happening in the water, in the process, of this whole supply chain. And we are actually about to even form a joint venture also for this solution based on our spectral technology. So again, as I mentioned, the spectral technology, the chip, can be for many applications. What we do with it sometimes requires, a full solution that has such a big demand that we even form a new company like we did for COVID, and we will do the same for the water. And here is a topic actually we're thinking to also to address regarding pathogens in water, maybe using also Mekorot expertise and Shiba expertise. This can definitely be something we will try to see how we can monitor in the future. And this topic came up, but for now we're really focused on giving a dedicated solution for the population directly.
Amazing. Wow. It seems like the possibilities are endless there. Well, we've reached the end of our podcast episode. Thank you so much for your insight and time, Michal.
Thank you for inviting me, and let's hope for a better future for us all and stay safe.
You can read more at wagas-group.com. This has been your Innovation Talks podcast produced by Livia van Herde. Make sure to check back next month for the latest insight in innovation.